one's time to be used wisely. So let's begin. No. All right, good evening. Thank you for joining us for tonight's meeting. If you have been to our meetings before, you probably know that I am Nicole Ingalls. I'm a planner in the Community Development Division. And tonight we're here to talk about 3 topics. These are a substantial amendment to the 2019 Consolidated Plan, a couple of changes we have to the Citizen Participation Plan, and our CAPER, the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report. And we'll go over a couple of logistics as people are filtering in. You want to go to the next slide? So if you have questions tonight, please use the Q&A box. We will read these questions out loud and respond to them audibly, as well as in the Q&A box where everyone can read them. We have time built in at several points for questions to ask in the chat as we go. So put your questions in and we'll read them out loud and respond when we get to those points. If you have a question that is a clarification question and needs an immediate response, I'll try to do that in real time. Yes, Rosie, your microphone should be on.
Thank you.
So our agenda tonight is to go over our logistics, which we're doing now. Then we'll talk about the substantial amendment, changes to the citizen participation. Sorry, words are fun. Citizen participation plan, and then we'll have our CAPER presentation. Next slide.
Vamos a hablar sobre la modificación sustancial del plan consolidado de 2019. Tenemos a Megan y a Sharon presentando en lenguaje de signos, Rosy presentando en español. Tenemos a Susana presentando.
We are recording all of the different languages so that they can be posted later.
Voy a hablar un poco más lento.
What you do is look to the bottom of your screen where you should have the
idioma diferente al inglés. Escoja la opción
circled in red in that top image on this slide.
cerrada en
When you click it,
un círculo rojo.
see the list of languages,
A esto
and you can
hará
choose
una
the
lista de
one
idiomas.
that you would like to utilize.
Puede escoger el idioma que
If
usted
you
quiere.
do that, you should hear me
Si hace esto
at about 30% volume.
a solo volumen 30% y podrá escuchar en su idioma a volumen alto.
And then you'll only hear your interpreter. We did a tech check before this meeting, and we think that we have all about the kinks that we experienced in the last meeting worked out. But if
Usamos la tecnología antes de empezar la presentación y creo que pudimos identificar los problemas que se hubieran presentado, pero por favor indique si no puede escuchar.
we have 3 important terms to start the night off. You'll
Hay
hear
3
them
términos
repeatedly, and we should
importantes.
define them up front.
Los van a escuchar
Primary sources of
varias
funding
veces.
that the city receives from HUD.
El origen de los fondos que recibe la ciudad
Community development.
vienen de esos 3 proyectos.
These are community development block grants, what we call CDBG. And they can fund some construction type projects as well as public services and economic development activities.
El
Home
primero
improvement
es
initiatives
desarrollo de blog de la comunidad.
geared more towards the production of housing.
Luego es
Finally,
el
ESG, Emergency Solutions grant
Finalmente,
is funding that is reserved for homeless
los
services.
fondos
If
ESG.
you'd like to learn more about any of those funding sources, we will be linking to them in the chat right now. One thing that I forgot to mention, and perhaps Marcus put it in the chat already, I did not notice, I'm sorry. We do have the slides available on our website with presentation
La
notes.
presentación va a estar disponible en nuestra página de web. Si quiere, puede participar usando la presentación directamente de la página de web.
Our first topic is the substantial amendment, and Alyssa is going to speak to that.
El primer tema va a ser enmienda sustancial. Buenas tardes, me llamo Alisa. Trabajo por la ciudad. La enmienda sustancial ocurre cuando proponen un cambio y cuando este cambio incluye cantidad de más de $400,000. Una enmienda sustancial al plan consolidado de 2019 consiste de 2.010.184 en fondos de la ley de CDBG CARES, CB3, reasignado a servicios de asesoramiento de vivienda familiar. También quiero aclarar que los fondos de CB3 son para asistencia de alquiler de emergencia. Un periodo de comentarios públicos de los 5 días sobre esta enmienda comenzará el 15 de marzo y finalizará el 21 de marzo. ¿Tienen alguna pregunta?
Nothing yet. We can come back to it if there are any questions.
Podemos regresar si alguien presenta alguna pregunta.
Thank you, Alyssa. Our next
Gracias,
topic
Alisa.
is the Citizen Participation Plan.
El
So,
próximo
what
tema
is a Citizen Participation
es
Plan?
el plan de participación ciudadano. Le llamamos a esto usando las siglas CPP. Este plan de participación ciudadano incluye las políticas y procedimientos mínimos para la participación ciudadana. Son los reglamentos que se pueden encontrar en 24 CFR 91.105. Desarrollo de CPP establece los estándares mínimos de participación comunitaria en los que la ciudad participará a medida que desarrollemos nuestras metas, establezcamos nuestros planes de gastos y proporcionemos documentos para revisión y comentarios. Ocasionalmente revisamos el plan o hacemos cambios cuando surge la necesidad. La última vez que se modificó el plan fue en el año 2020, con la última actualización importante en 2018. Los dos cambios principales son flexibilidad adicional para proporcionar reuniones públicas solo virtuales. También un compromiso de tener intérpretes de idiomas de señas o lenguaje de señas americano y español y subtítulos en tiempo real en cada reunión.
In the draft amended CPP that is on our website, the significant changes in policy are highlighted in blue.
Hay dos cambios principales que estamos haciendo en esta actualización. Estos son que estamos agregando más flexibilidad a cuando tendremos reuniones públicas solo virtuales y que estamos agregando el compromiso de tener siempre como mínimo intérpretes de ASL y español en todas nuestras reuniones públicas.
There was some gray area around if we were allowed to continue holding only virtual public meetings. We found out that, or HUD gave us the okay, but said that we needed to update our CPP as soon as possible. And this is our first chance to do that. So the wording to the
La
change.
organización de HUD indicó que podremos, cuando posible, las reuniones se van a hacer presencial.
And as determined by the planning director, a virtual public hearing may take place in place of the in-person meeting. A virtual public hearing may also be held in addition to an in-person meeting.
Las reuniones pueden ser solamente virtuales o pueden ser presencial. Sabemos que no todos pueden atender o asistir reuniones presenciales, que son presenciales. Estamos intentando ofrecer las dos opciones de reuniones virtuales y reuniones presenciales. Hoy notarán que tenemos cuatro diferentes idiomas o lenguajes. Nos pusimos en contacto con el Distrito Escolar de Omaha para identificar los idiomas más comunes.
Do you have any questions on the
¿Tienen
citizen?
preguntas sobre este plan de participación ciudadano?
All right, let's move forward. We're coming to the CAPER. The CAPER, or Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, is our
La palabra CAPER significa revisión y evaluación de desempeño anual consolidado, o CAPER por sus siglas en inglés.
The CAPER is due to HUD 90 days after the end of our program, which for the city of Omaha is January 1 to December 31. So our CAPER is due on March 30th every year.
Nuestro informe de CAPER
The CAPER is divided up into sections
tiene que
such as
ser
resources and investments, demographics of those assisted.
presentado a la organización de HUD
The very first section
90
is
días
5,
al final
is kind of
del
an executive summary. And so
año del
if you were
programa.
to read one section, that gives the bones of what we do.
Para la ciudad de Omaha, el año del programa es el 1 de enero al 1 de diciembre. Y nuestro CAPER, informe CAPER, vence al HUD el 15 de marzo de cada año.
Such as the lead hazard remediation program and how we work with agencies addressing the same types of issues that we do.
Bien, CAPER se enfoca principalmente en cómo usamos nuestros fondos de derechos CDBG, Home y ESG por sus siglas en inglés. También tiene discusiones sobre otras actividades que realizamos, como la remediación del riesgo de plomo y cómo trabajamos con otras agencias que abordan los mismos problemas que hacemos, como la Autoridad de Vivienda de Omaha y el Área Metropolitana de Cuidado Continuo para Personas Sin Hogar, o MACCH por sus siglas en inglés. Necesidades prioritarias. Las metas y necesidades prioritarias se establecen en el plan consolidado de 5 años, the 5-year consolidated plan. El plan consolidado actual era para el periodo 2019 a 2023. Estas necesidades prioritarias se establecieron a través de reuniones públicas, grupos de enfoque y consultas que realizamos durante el desarrollo del plan. Por lo tanto, cada proyecto o programa que financiamos debe trabajar para aliviar una de las necesidades enumeradas aquí en esta lista. Las metas de prioridad son las maneras perdón,
That may be the number of commercial buildings improved through the facade improvement program, the number of people who received financing for the purchase of a home through the home buyer financing program, or the number of people impacted by an infrastructure project.
Los objetivos desarrollados en el plan de acción son las formas medibles en las que trabajamos para abordar las necesidades prioritarias. Cada proyecto o programa que financiamos debe tener metas a alcanzar en una de estas categorías. Esa puede ser la cantidad de edificios comerciales mejorados, la cantidad de personas que recibieron financiamiento para la compra de una vivienda a través de financiamiento para compradores de vivienda o la cantidad de personas afectadas por un proyecto de infraestructura pública.
Disaster relief folks. And so that's part of the development is a community disaster relief plan. All right, next slide. In 2021, the city made available a total of approximately $11.3 million.
En el año 2021, la ciudad puso a disposición un total de aproximadamente 11.3 millones y gastó un total de aproximadamente 10.7 millones. Cuando estuvieron en nuestra reunión en enero, presentamos la cantidad de fondos que teníamos para el año completo y cómo íbamos a distribuir estos fondos a cada programa. Hablando de el proyecto CAPER, lo que usted ve no son todos los programas en que presentamos fondos en el año pasado. Puede ser que empezamos construcción en el programa Home en 2018, pero quizás el proyecto Home no se vendió en 2021. Entonces, el proyecto CAPER solo informa sobre proyectos y programas que se completaron en 2021. Entonces, si un proyecto comenzó en 2021, pero no se completa hasta el 2023, estará en el CAPER de 2023 y no en el proyecto de 2021.
So this image depicts the
En
location.
esta imagen muestra la ubicación de proyectos ya completados en 2021.
And home funds. The ESG is not on this map. This map utilizes qualified census tracts, which is what you see in green. And
El mapa muestra algunas áreas en verde.
at least half of the households have an income less than 60% of the area median income. And I'm sorry, I meant to get that number for you, but it does depend on household size.
Disculpa.
And so it basically means that there's a high concentration of low and
El
very
mapa indica
in those green census tracts.
que hay una alta concentración
Represent projects assisted with CDBG or home funds.
de puntos. La mayor concentración de puntos se encuentra en una gran área verde que cubre la mayor parte del norte de Omaha. Hay una clave para el mapa en la esquina superior izquierda de la imagen. A continuación se describe la importancia de las áreas verdes, los puntos y los contornos.
But it's not quite the same. However, the data that we were using that HUD has provided is quite old, and this is more up to date. We have several designations that we use to define program boundaries. These include citywide programs, the Council Bluffs Consortia area, which we'll have more on in a second, the area east of 72nd Street, the North Neighborhood Revitalization Strategy area, and then the
Tenemos
south.
varias designaciones de área que usamos para definir los límites del programa. Estos incluyen programas para toda la ciudad. Área de consorcio de Council Bluffs, más sobre eso en un momento. Este de la calle 72, el área de estrategia de revitalización de vecindarios del norte, NRSA, y el NRSA del sur.
Is our primary focus. The city has received a planning grant and applied for another implementation grant.
La ciudad recibió una subvención de planificación y solicitó otra subvención de implementación para un área en el sur de NRSA, por lo que algunos de ese enfoque es probable que cambie. Estamos en lo que se llama un consorcio con Council Bluffs. Al formar un consorcio, las unidades vecinas del gobierno local pueden adoptar un enfoque más regional para abordar los problemas de vivienda y permitir que una comunidad que no es lo suficiente grande como para recibir fondos de home por sí misma utilice algunos de esos fondos. Council Bluffs es elegible para recibir aproximadamente el 10% de los fondos home de nuestro consorcio de manera regular. Si desea obtener más información sobre home consorcias, puede hacerlo aquí. Un área estratégica de revitalización de vecindarios, Neighborhood Revitalization Strategy Area, NRSA, por sus siglas en inglés, es un área designada por el beneficiario de la subvención en bloque para el desarrollo, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG por sus siglas en inglés, como objetivo para la revitalización. Una NRSA es diferente de otras áreas específicas locales en que la designación es revisada y aprobada por la organización HUD. A cambio de la designación, los concesionarios obtienen una mayor flexibilidad para emprender actividades de desarrollo económicos, vivienda y servicio público con sus fondos CDBG. Pueden obtener más información sobre las NRSA y los beneficios de hacer un proyecto en la NRSA aquí.
.pdf.
All right, I think this is right.
All right, there we go. Oh, you only sent it to one person.
We'll just cut.
Rosie, I hope you're really interested in, oh, that didn't work. No.
Not letting me copy and paste.
Okay, well, we're having a technical glitch, far fewer.
Estamos experimentando un problema técnico.
We'll just move on and-
Vamos a seguir.
This image shows how funds were dispersed by city council district. As the
Esta
document
imagen muestra cómo se
se
desembolsaron los fondos por distrito del Consejo Municipal City Council District. Como indicaron los puntos en la diapositiva anterior, la mayoría de los fondos se invirtieron en el Distrito 2, que abarca la mayor parte del norte de Omaha. El programa CDBG sirvió a 1,075 personas. El programa Mejoras Públicas CDBG sirvió a 3,190 personas. El proyecto de cumplimiento del código CDBG sirvió a 382 personas.
The impact for a street improvement project is measured by the number of people who live within a certain distance of the project. So that project accounted for 3,190 people who were impacted. Additionally, the city receives funding from HUD to address lead-based paint hazards inside of homes. This program,
El
not
proyecto de
listed-
mejoras públicas de CDBG fue mejoras en la calle Corby Street. El impacto se mide por el número de personas que viven a cierta distancia del proyecto. Este proyecto da cuenta de 3,190 personas que fueron impactadas.
The code enforcement officer is focused in the North NRSA so that we can target the area of town that is both lowest income and has
El programa de cumplimiento del código CDBG respondió a un total de 362 casos de violación del código y realizó un total de 1,864 visitas para abordarlos. Tres de los programas financiados con CDBG-CB se completaron en 2021. Estos fueron un programa del Nebraska Enterprise Fund que ayuda a microempresas, un programa que proporciona empleo a personas de bajos ingresos en North End Teleservices y un programa de pruebas de COVID en One World Health Center. Este programa sirvió a la mayor parte de esta categoría, evaluando a más de 6,000 personas en sus instalaciones de stockyards.
For ESG, shelters were awarded with operations funding and provided shelter to 3,000.
Los programas financiados por el proyecto Home incluyeron programas para compradores de vivienda, programas de rehabilitación de alquileres y el programa de asistencia de alquiler basado en inquilinos operador por la Autoridad de Vivienda de Omaha, Omaha Housing Authority. Los refugios adjudicados son financiamiento operativo, proporcionaron refugio a 3,220 personas durante más de 150,000 noches de alojamiento y los proveedores de alojamiento rápido financiados por ESG sirvieron a 26 hogares con 27 personas.
So we do keep track of that, and I hope that this chart makes sense. In addition
En
to
esta imagen aparece un gráfico circular en tonos de azul, verde, azulado y gris que muestra la proporción de diferentes descriptores raciales atendidos por los programas CDBG, HOME y ESG.
Alyssa is really involved with the women and minority-owned businesses, and so she's going to talk about this.
Alisa está involucrada más con el programa de empresas propiedad de mujeres y minorías.
Okay, so what we have on, oh, I think we lost it, but I'll kind of go over a little bit what was shown on the screen.
Voy a hablar un poco sobre lo que hemos mostrado en la pantalla.
Requires that we report on the home program
El programa
activities, on how many women and
CAPER
minority-owned
requiere
businesses
que presentemos sobre
or owned properties invested in, as well as how much money was
requiere que se informe sobre cuántas empresas,
we can know
propiedad de mujeres y minorías se contrataron o se invirtieron en propiedades, así como la cantidad de fondos involucrados en esos contratos.
CDBG construction contracts as part of this presentation as well. So for home specifically, we had 10 general
Estos valores no incluyen dólares CDBG o ESG, para los cuales no tenemos datos disponibles. Una de las razones de esto es que el proyecto CDBG y ESG trabajan más con organizaciones sin fines de lucro y programas que no tienen dueños de negocios. No tengo información sobre cuántas empresas pertenecientes a minorías y mujeres ofertan en proyectos financiados por HOME. Sin embargo, está claro a partir de estos datos que podemos hacerlo mejor.
So then the CDBG program, as a comparison, had 113 contractors. And we did see a higher participation in the CDBG program of MBE and WBE contractors. And from those contracts, 28 or nearly 25% were MBE, and 19 or approximately 17% were WBE. And of the MBE contracts, 10 were Black or African American, 1 was Native American, and 17 was Hispanic American. So we do, like I said, have a little bit more participation on the CDBG side in this last year. And we don't have data available on the number of MBE, WBE contractors who bid on construction projects, but I do want to provide a little bit more information about the outreach that we've done to encourage more participation. Our staff work with REACH and the SEB program to hold technical assistance trainings throughout the year, just to provide additional information on a number of different topics, such as how to bid on projects, Davis-Bacon compliance, Section 3 compliance, and other business certifications and contractor licensing as well. REACH sponsors the REACH Construction Industry Certificate Program, which is a 10-week program designed to help small businesses kind of get started in the construction field. The planning department also provides, the planning department does provide, so just kind of a highlight, to highlight some of the activities that, some of the training that we have done. We've got some different outreach that we've engaged in. And if anybody has any further suggestions about how we expand our outreach activities or how we better reach out to MBE and WB businesses, please feel free
¿Alguien
to.
tiene alguna sugestión en cómo podemos mejorar la participación de la comunidad en nuestros programas? Por favor, nos hacen saber.
Email address into the chat as well, just to make sure that you have my information and can reach out to me if you have any questions. So with that, I believe that the next slide allows us to go into some questions. So if you have questions about MBE,
¿Tienen alguna pregunta sobre alguno de los temas que hemos presentado? Ahora podrían hacerlas.
All right, we will move on. Next, I want to highlight a few of the specific priority needs and some of the projects that have been completed in those categories. So economic development is, of course, one of the top priorities that we hear anytime.
Desarrollo económico es otro tema que vamos a presentar. En el año 2021 se presentaron fondos para 4 programas. Los primeros 2 fueron programas de entrenamiento para los adolescentes y para el Latino Center de Midlands, Fundación Laboral.
We also received ESG CV. And all CV funds are required to work towards preventing, preparing for, and responding to COVID. So the first was the Nebraska Enterprise Fund, which assisted micro businesses. They assisted 45 businesses in shifting their business strategies to be better prepared to handle the challenges brought on by COVID-19. So that might be getting a better website set up for online sales, or honestly, that's the best example I have. The other project that was funded was the North End Teleservices.
Otro proyecto
Will you please make Haley?
al cual se le presentó fondos fue el proyecto North End Teleservices.
So CDBG funding was provided and helped
Fondos de CDBG
the retention of 40 jobs. So, okay, Haley Plain.
se presentaron para preservar 40 posiciones o trabajos.
Hi, everyone. My name is Haley Plain.
Hola, me llamo Haley
I'm the director of
y
customer
soy la
experience
directora
here at North End
de
Teleservices.
experiencia del cliente
I do have a camera
aquí en
that
North End
shows
Teleservices.
if we turned on or not, but either way. It's my honor to talk to you all today and
Es mi
share
honor hablarles a ustedes en cómo los fondos de CBDG nos ha ayudado a crecer y invertir en las personas para continuar nuestra misión diaria. Los fondos de CDBG nos ha ayudado a lograr nuestra misión de ayudar a la comunidad.
With this increase in jobs in the Northeast Omaha community, we have also created an estimated economic impact of $168 million to date. More than a third of our employees live within 3 miles of our
Casi un
location.
tercio de nuestros empleados viven dentro de 15 millas de nuestra oficina. Estos fondos nos han ayudado a crear trabajos o posiciones y también nos ha permitido darles entrenamiento a nuestros empleados. En el año 2021 empezamos un proyecto de experiencia del cliente en cooperación con el colegio Metro Community College.
with a customer experience career certificate and will be ready and prepared to take the National Customer Service Association examination to obtain their Certified Customer Service Professional Certification, or CCSP, this May. 60% of these participants are first-generation college students, myself included.
60% de los participantes
A fearless
son
member of our team,
primera generación que asisten al colegio.
cultural background, is one of our first-generation graduates and a student within the cohort. She says that she's breaking
Uno de
generational.
los estudiantes
The first change
indica
in Reggie
que está
Rose
quebrando
in high
las
school
cadenas de
was a lot of
generación.
her family dropped out in the 8th grade.
Ella fue la
She's
primera que
determined
completó
to set the
la
standard
preparatoria o
for
high
students
school,
and the future
ya
generations.
que sus familiares solo cumplieron hasta el grado octavo.
And MCC, she will continue to set the standard for her family, continue to break those chains,
Ella va a seguir
lead her bloodline into generational.
cumpliendo nuevos estándares
She says, I am honored to be the chosen one to make that change.
para ser el ejemplo en su familia.
Another one of our employees
Ella dice que
took the
es su honor de lograr esos cambios para su familia.
Having this opportunity has given her a chance to correct a mistake she made many years ago.
Ella dice que
Out of college.
otra persona participante dice que esta oportunidad
She says that is always
le da manera de corregir un error que ella cometió en su vida. Ella dice que participando con este programa, ella puede corregir
I feel I won't always have the college dropout stigma
otras decisiones
laying over my
que
head.
ella hizo en el pasado.
She was very nervous about going back to school and had very low
Tenía
expectations.
nervios de regresar al colegio y tenía muy bajas expectativas de cómo iba a resultar. Sin embargo, ella está cumpliendo con notas perfectas y dice que esa oportunidad le ha cambiado su vida. Ella dice que me ha permitido a quererme más a mí misma y que es un muy buen sentimiento saber que ya no soy una persona que abandonó sus estudios.
To all of our employees through our own training as well as with our Grow Navigator to teach the basics of budgets and achieve goals of increasing credit scores and buying first homes. One of our own was struggling not just with finances, but also with the absorbed responsibility of being the
Uno de
oldest.
nuestros empleados
The caregiver to his
estaba
family,
luchando no nada más con mantener presupuestos, pero con su situación económica.
Our navigator helped him to put together a budget and guided him through some finance making decisions.
Otro empleado le ayudó con su presupuesto. En cierta manera, que el empleado que buscaba ayuda no tuvo que depender de préstamos de quincena.
Our navigator has connected him to various resources and is currently helping him to find the right therapist that is a
Le
lot
hemos ayudado a encontrar diferentes recursos en la familia.
and so on.
Hasta le ayudamos a encontrar a un terapeuta que le pueda ayudar con
In starting his own
otras situaciones relacionadas a la manera que se identifica en su comunidad de LGBTQ.
to call another member of the family without feeling guilty. He has been able to pay off debts. And all in all, he says, my sessions with the navigator have been impactful for me. And I'd encourage any employee to seek her assistance if you feel like the sky is falling down on you. North End's leadership and development career pathing has soared over the past year thanks to this grant. We have created our own North End Teleservices University and have 30+ leadership topics that our employees can take to enhance their careers and learn a variety of skills. Navigating through tough situations, leadership skills, excelling in their careers, communication and planning skills, overcoming stress, and how to lead a team are only the tip of the iceberg. We are also proud of our frontline supervisor apprenticeship program that was created with the U.S. Department of Labor. We have 5 apprentices starting on their journey this year in 2022, and 3 graduated in 2021, for a total of 8, which has exceeded our goal of 3 graduates with this grant. North End Teleservices is beyond grateful for the support of our community and for the city's planning support of North Omaha. We are excited for all that is ahead of us thanks to the growth we experienced as a result of these funds. As a community, county, state, and nation, we are all better together. And this grant money has allowed North End, as well as several others, to accomplish
Los
so.
fondos ha permitido a la compañía de North
We
End
invite you to stay connected to all
lograr
North End
muchas
Teleservices
metas.
by visiting our webpage at
Visite a nuestra página de
www.northendteleservices.com,
North End
liking us on Facebook,
para
and
aprender
following
más
us on LinkedIn.
sobre nuestra
Follow
organización.
collaboration,
También escoja el like a
Thank you.
nuestro perfil de las redes sociales.
Thank you so much, Haley. Okay, next slide, please, Wyatt. So I want to quickly touch on the accomplishments working towards our goal of providing and helping to maintain our affordable housing stock. We completed 635 owner-occupied rehabilitation projects in 2021. 525 of those were either emergency repair or handyman, which are smaller projects that we provide to low-income seniors. So that's always the biggest chunk of those projects. It also included 29 healthy homes projects, 3 barrier removal projects, 19 exterior rehabilitation projects, and 9 new roofs for seniors. 6 new single-family homes were rehabilitated in rental units. 6 new apartments were constructed. 4 new single-family homes were completed in the building and sale process. And there were 63 housing placements. Housing placements come from the tenant-based rental assistance program and through rapid rehousing that is operated by Together and Heartland Family Service. And that's with ESG, whereas tenant-based rental assistance is home funds. Next up, we have non-housing community development or neighborhood revitalization. So 3 main projects were completed in 2021. They were public infrastructure improvements at Corby Street, which is what you see to the left there. That's the new street and new sidewalks. We often do those projects in areas where there's more housing development with our nonprofit partners. And that helps it be a little bit easier, a little bit lower barrier for those folks to do their work of constructing housing. The other 2 projects completed in 2021 were facade improvements at the Goodwin's Spencer Street Barbershop and at the Carnation Ballroom. So this is the Goodwin's Spencer Street Barbershop. It's an iconic site on the North 24th Street corridor. And last year, the city was able to support the facade improvements. It really is an amazing transformation. So Lavanya Goodwin is here to tell us about how the funding helped
La
them.
peluquería Goodwin Barbershop es un icono de un sitio en el corredor de la calle 24 North. El año pasado la ciudad pudo apoyar las mejores exteriores del sitio y se ve increíble. Lavonia Goodwin está hablando. Ella le agradece a Nicole y a la ciudad. Ella está aquí para hablar sobre el trabajo que se realizó y lo que eso significó para el negocio de su familia, así como para la comunidad circundante.
Sparking a chain reaction of revitalization on North 24th Street. First of all, if Dan could unmute
Ella
it,
dice que esta ayuda ha empezado una nueva revitalización de la vecindad.
I am unmuted at this time. Can everyone hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hi. And so as my wife talked about the history of Goodwin Spencer Street Barbershop, my
Ahora
father
está hablando el esposo de Lavonia Goodwin.
opened Goodwin Spencer Street Barbershop on that same block a little bit further to the north, which was actually 3122 on 24th
Él dice
Street.
que en esa misma cuadra, un poco más al norte,
That spot was actually
es significante que él abrió ese negocio en esa vecindad, porque en ese entonces no había un negocio donde los dueños eran afroamericanos.
Some of the history that took place there in 1966, Oscar-nominated documentary on race relations was shot there. A Time for Burning, Senator Chambers.
Él dice que ese negocio fue
became his headquarters.
significa mucho para la comunidad.
And so many other things. It became a place where people could go for all types of assistance, help, advice.
Ese negocio fue un sitio donde varias personas podían ir a buscar recursos.
I took over ownership of the shop, recognizing that the building structure itself did need to be renovated. My father had done a lot of things in the years prior. And yet,
Él dice que cuando él fue el nuevo dueño, él reconocía que el edificio estaba en necesidad de rehabilitación. Necesidades para remodelar el edificio.
I'm sounding muffled. I don't know if my headset is good. Can everyone hear or understand what I'm stating?
¿Todos se pueden escuchar? Sí.
But the barbershop in and of itself, just I thought it was very important that
El negocio, esta peluquería, era muy importante para la vecindad North 24th Street. Ese negocio ayuda a presentar la historia de esta comunidad.
And also that it's a great example of people in the community still owning
Ese negocio es un muy buen ejemplo de personas afroamericanas que aún son dueños de esos tipos de negocios.
So it really was very important in order for us to be able to move to the place we are now.
Thank you, Dan. If we could go back to the comparison slides, please.
Podemos
This
regresar a la imagen comparando
the building project
para que
entailed.
puedan ver
As my
este
husband
proyecto.
mentioned, it was a very
Como dijo mi esposo,
process that we started
fue un proceso difícil
of approaching the city for the CBDG
hasta antes de
funds, and they
presentarnos con la ciudad para poder usar estos fondos.
amount to this project, primarily due to the issue of redlining. And that's because although we were definitely bankable and even did bring funding to the table, the area was so disinvested that
Esto
there
fue un
were
ejemplo de problema de redlining.
actually utilized to refinance the building and therefore
Porque
borrow
teníamos para contribuir,
the
para
building
conseguir
to do
préstamo.
updates, on it. And so it was really critical to receive the CBDG funding
Fue
because
crítico poder recibir fondos de CBDG.
tremendous way. Now, I want
Te
to
ayuda
talk a little bit about the
muchísimo
application
en
process.
poder
As
conseguir
it
todos
was
los
very
fondos.
rigorous, because we were new to projects of this scope. Although my husband and I had managed and owned some rental properties, this was a larger overall project that we had taken on before, and therefore not only did we engage an initial architect that did some of the existing building renderings. We also had some architectural engineering work done to determine the soundness of the building. And then, of course, had to come to the table with a project plan, which we worked collaboratively with our developer, Ben Swan.
También trabajamos con un arquitecto y otros profesionales para completar ese proyecto que resultó difícil.
And so when you compare the old building versus the new,
Si pueden ver el edificio como parecía antes y lo comparan al el nuevo edificio,
a fix that my father-in-law had done, but was not a part of the original building. And so it was necessary to replace the roof in order to mitigate water and moisture coming in that was affecting the bricks and the overall, lifespan.
pueden ver una diferencia en la estructura que tuvimos que hacer porque habían problemas de inundación.
This project, I did submit a slide that showed how some of the brickwork needed rehab. Let's see if he's going to go to that. Yeah. So you can see up front here.
Pueden ver en la pantalla
Just an example of the front facade, how
que parece un ejemplo
repair. Also,
donde se pueden ver los arreglos que eran necesarios.
And put in not only windows but also doors to
Con
not
estos
only
fondos pudimos cambiar las ventanas y puertas
but also to secure it just
que
from a safety
protegen el edificio
There was
de daños relacionados al clima.
but only if it pertained to the exterior. So that means that any work that was accomplished, for instance, for the roof that intersected with the interior of the building, that was a part of the project plan. And then we also discovered
Los cambios en el interior fueron hechos solo si eran relacionados al exterior del edificio.
Placed, and that was probably one of the most critical finds.
La pared exterior atrás del edificio tuvieron que cambiar completamente.
Because the back wall, there we go. was literally.
Aquí muestra la pared
You could run a pencil through
que
some
aparece atrás del
tough
edificio.
So it was just really a miracle that we got to it when we did, because it also did that type of deterioration of the building.
Fue un
did
milagro que pudimos hacer esos arreglos
architectural inspection
porque
and or
descubrimos problemas
you know, work we had
serios
prior to the
que no
actually
no
starting
habían
the project. So
no habíamos descubierto
one of the
al
things this
principio
building
del
does, among other
proyecto.
things, is it shows that everyday people can put their
El cambio
hand
en este edificio
in their community, and
muestra que
buildings in our
diferentes tipos de personas podríamos juntarnos para hacer cambios en nuestra comunidad.
everyone knows that when your built environment is beautified and kept up, it lifts your spirits, it lifts your community pride and your overall.
Todos saben que cuando podemos hacer cambios a nuestra comunidad, cambios estéticos, esto ayuda a levantar el orgullo de las personas, el espíritu de las personas que viven en la comunidad.
Cut hair for over 65 years, when COVID hit and the health directive was that barbershops and other entities needed to close, it was a good time for him to transition. And so we are currently considering what the next phase of the building will be, but we just really closed this project out in October. So we're currently just,
Apenas
again,
terminamos este proyecto
our options for how we
de remodelar el edificio en octubre.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lavanya. I drove by this afternoon and it really is a night and day transformation. It looks so good.
No, it's really a point of pride. Thank you so much. Thanks to Ben Swan, who was a partner in this project with us and really, as the developer, along with my husband, oversaw the day-to-day operations of the work on this building. And again, it's no small task to take on a project like this. We learned a lot, and just excited to see the level of revitalization that is happening on North 24th Street. We've got some other exciting announcements that aren't necessarily geared toward this meeting, but we're moving right along on North 24th Street. Thank you.
Yeah, I noticed that when I drove up the street today. There's a lot of activity going on, positive activity. Next slide, please. Next up, we will have Ben Swan to talk about
Ahora
his
la persona Ben Swan va a hablar sobre su edificio, el Salón de Baile Carnation, que está a unas cuantas cuadras de la peluquería Goodwin.
the North Omaha history blog. And Marcus, will you please put that link in the chat for us so that if you want to learn more about the history of this building, you can. It's been a ballroom for concerts. It was.
Vamos a incluir un enlace donde uno pueda aprender más sobre la historia de este edificio. Este edificio ha servido como varios negocios.
Thank you very much, Ben Swan,
Un
President.
negocio de mecánica, etc.
Evening, everybody. So the Carnation Ballroom, that
El Salón de Baile Carnation, este edificio le pertenecía al padre de mi padrastro. Él era dueño de un negocio de mecánica. Cuando él estaba ya grande, lo que decidimos es mantener este edificio y lo compramos de el padre de mi padrastro. Él nos había dicho que el edificio antes era el salón de baile Carnation.
didn't really know the depth of the history.
Realmente yo no conocía muy bien la historia del salón de baile Carnation.
To you.
Yep, it just didn't get in the most recent incarnation, so we're pulling it up now.
Oh, perfect.
Este edificio ha sido una sala de baile y conciertos, un taller de mecánica automotriz y mucho más.
Decided to basically adopt the Carnation Ballroom, and they sponsored a historical narrative research project for this. And so what we did is we went to the community, to neighbors, to family members, to people that actually remembered the Carnation Ballroom. And then we just learned so much about the history of the building, who the people that played there were. Roger.
Nosotros aprendimos mucho de las personas en la comunidad, personas que habían conocido el salón de baile Carnation. Nos hablaron sobre los diferentes personajes que participaron cuando el negocio era un salón de baile de Carnation.
And then we also got to learn about some other parts of the history of that building. So it was actually originally built as the Forbes Bakery in the 1920s. And then, yep.
Era una panadería Forbes en los 1920.
In this building's life is when it was the AMVETS Club for the North Omaha World War II veterans immediately after World War
Después fue un
II.
club para los veteranos de la guerra
Historical articles and pictures of the AMVETS Club.
mundial, la Segunda Guerra Mundial.
He's done a lot of North Omaha history research as well, and we got some of that from him. And then obviously the most culturally significant, a lot of people are still alive that enjoyed the
Y
Carnation.
también significante culturalmente, hay personas que conocieron quizás su pareja en el salón de baile de Carnation.
If anybody has any questions about,
Si alguien tiene alguna pregunta sobre los diferentes conjuntos y personas que presentaron por medio de música en el salón de baile Carnation.
Esto
Esto está disponible para aprender. En la pantalla se muestra una de las paredes derramada. En esta pared habían árboles que estaban creciendo de la pared.
From the top almost all the way to the bottom. And so when we were pulling these roots apart, pulling these trees out of the wall,
Cuando estábamos sacando los árboles, descubrimos que el piso se había convertido en tierra.
and then when we got down to the footing and the foundation, the footing was cracked. And so we had to actually redo the foundation in this area. There are numerous other photos, more than time would allow, where we had to replace other walls. In the
Muchas
north,
más fotos donde muestra que tuvimos que cambiar otras paredes.
with a new I-joist system. We were able to put some new commercial doors, some new gutters. So what
Pudimos
was
cambiar
is
las
it wasn't
puertas.
so much facade like it was the Goodwin building. It was that this was a large building with a big history, and the funding that was available.
Los
which we're
cambios
grateful for,
fueron más
building's not yet able to
de la
be
parte
used
interior que la
as a
parte
retail
exterior,
but
como el
it's been
negocio
used
de
for 50
peluquería
years
Goodwin.
because all the structural repairs to make it a sound waterproof building have been done. And we were able to do a lot of compaction and
Los
grading.
arreglos fueron más para la estructura del edificio.
That is protected and preserved. This was really about preservation of a historic building. If we go to the next slide.
Nuestros esfuerzos fueron más para preservar la cualidad histórica del edificio. Ahora el edificio está listo para ser usado en el futuro. Estamos trabajando con organizaciones sin fines de lucro para encontrar una nueva organización en negocio que pueda usar el edificio.
And we do have another significant funding stage that would be required in order to have air conditioning, HVAC, new sewer, new water
Todavía
supply.
estamos buscando fondos para poner aire acondicionado y calefacción al edificio.
So it's been an honor to be a part of the project so far, and we are looking to work with the
Ha
community.
sido un gran honor poder participar en este proyecto.
Which our family, we live in Bemis Park, which is part of the new North community. So we're looking forward to this building being a part of our community.
Estamos emocionados de que este edificio sea parte de nuestra comunidad nuevamente.
To preserve the building and to do structural repairs. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben. Our
Gracias,
next
Ben.
slide is a question slide. So if you have questions, now
En esa pantalla, si alguien tiene alguna pregunta,
we're about at the end.
por favor, preséntenla, porque estamos ya a punto de terminar la presentación.
All right, seeing none. So we have two announcements.
Tenemos dos anuncios.
We will have
En mayo
a whirlwind of community engagement with lots of opportunities for us to tell you, or for you to tell us about your housing needs and wants. This is the
en mayo
development.
va a haber varias oportunidades para ustedes que puedan hablar sobre sus necesidades relacionadas a la vivienda.
Consolidated plan for 2024 to 2029, as well as an update.
También vamos a presentar el plan que va a cubrir los años 2024 a 2029.
Develop the city's submittal in response to LB 866, which was passed through the state legislature last year. The bill requires Omaha to adopt an affordable housing plan. And I see that Marcus has put in the chat the link for you to be able to read the text of the statute. So if you want to know more and you want to know what is required of us, it's right there.
Hemos incluido el enlace del chat para que puedan leer sobre la ley LB 23 que permite más fondos.
We'll have at least one open house in every council district. So next slide. The next announcement is that 2023 CDBG and home applications are due April 8th. And Marcus, I believe that you have links, there we go, for learning more about
La
that process.
solicitud para recibir fondos de CDBG
Marcus just put
del año 2023
So if you have questions,
tienen que
review that material,
ser
you can email Pat Evans.
recibidas para el 8 de abril
I'm gonna put her email
del año 2022, este año.
And finally, we really want your feedback.
Los dos programas, CBTG y programa Home. Hay varias maneras en que usted puede comentar sobre esta presentación.
CDBG CV3 funds from match to FAS or rental assistance still. The changes to the citizen participation plan. And of course, the CAPER. You can do that by filling out our feedback form. The link is there and Marcus
Pueden
is also.
llenar aquí los comentarios.
There's only one required
Hay un
question.
formulario de comentarios que pueden llenar.
You can email us at hcdcomments.
También se puede comunicar con nosotros por medio de correo electrónico
444-5150.
o nos pueden llamar al número 402-444-5150. Mi correo electrónico es hcb.comments@cityofomaha.org.
That gives us some time to respond to your comments and your questions, and hopefully we'll hear from you. So I'll give you a few more moments to ask any last minute questions or give any comments, and then we will
Para que puedan
see you next time.
hacer comentarios o preguntas. Vamos a poner en el chat el enlace para nuestra página de web.
We will send out a follow-up email tomorrow that includes links to those documents and our feedback form, and of course, the recording of this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us.
Muchas gracias por participar.
Oh, Linda Toomey says that the slide link goes to an error message and doesn't give the presentation. Linda, I will fix that and include the link tomorrow in the email. Oh, wait, the slide link to the bit.ly. I'll send it tomorrow, either way. It worked for me earlier today. Okay, it worked for me earlier today, so that is frustrating.
Disculpen que no sabía que esa presentación tenía que ser interpretada simultáneamente.